Hello, dear friends. Everything is duality, as Hermes Trismegistus said. And if we want to understand how the world works, we must understand how the law of duality works. Even the worst storms passed in the end. Even the coldest winters thaw in the end. Even the longest nights give way to the light of dawn. That's the promise of Vista. A famous Russian economist has just revealed many details of the new financial system. Opinion piece. From bankruptcy to Jubilee, all is duality. From failure to success, from darkness to light, from ruin to prosperity, from dissolution to coagulation, from putrefaction to sublimation. The impossible only takes a little longer. Now we are in the midst of the maelstrom. High frequency breaks the veil of secrecy. The crisis could break the financial system. Details of the new economic system revealed. The sleeping must see the truth before they believe. The awakened create truth before it appears. Let's start. After dissolution comes coagulation, and after putrefaction comes alchemical sublimation, because this process of duality is part of the universal law and is inevitable. But before resuscitation, the process of fermentation or decomposition must be completed, and that is the most unpleasant part of the movie. Reaching the bottom of the well before the rescue or rescuing ourselves. We know that Russia announced its gold standard and China announced the revaluation of its currency, while Western countries damaged themselves with sanctions. The more politicians resist change, the more profound their failure will be, and we Westerners have been on the side of resisting change without eating or drinking. Definitions. To sublimate is to aggrandize, exalt, extol, and elevate to a higher degree. Sublime means eminent, exalted, usurped, grandiose, divine, heavenly, and glorious. Sublimation is a process of change of a state of matter, which transforms from solid to gas directly, without passing through the liquid state. Success is the happy result of a performance, and prosperity is good luck in what is undertaken, happens, or occurs. People think that success is the opposite of failure, but the truth is that both are part of the same process. Failure is the path to success if we learn from it. The impossible just takes a little longer. Failure is a great opportunity to start over again with more intelligence. An intelligent being soon recovers from failure. A mediocre person never recovers from a success, said Seneca. In adverse fortune is often discovered the genius that is hidden in prosperity, said Horace. Never fear failure, because it is part of the road to victory. You cannot achieve success if you do not have the courage to seek it. Overcome the fear of failure. New financial system. The Russian Tsar of Geoeconomics has just presented the new global economic system. According to Pepe Escobar, the new financial system, backed by a digital currency, would also be supported by a basket of new foreign currencies and natural resources, and would free the global south from both Western debt and IMF-induced austerity. Sergei Glaziev is a man who lives right in the eye of our current geopolitical and geoeconomic hurricane, and is one of the world's most influential economists. More than a decade ago, he and his colleagues at the Astana Economic Forum, proposed to transition to a new global economic system based on a new synthetic trading currency, based on an index of currencies of participating countries. Subsequently, they proposed to expand the underlying basket of currencies by adding a score of publicly traded commodities. A currency unit based on such an expanded basket was mathematically modeled and demonstrated a high degree of resilience and stability. A transition to a new world financial order began after the disintegration of the Soviet Union. This transition is now coming to an end with the imminent disintegration of the old world economic system based on the dollar. The new convergent system that emerged in China and India is the next inevitable stage of development, combining the benefits of a strategic planning and market economics, as well as a state control of monetary and physical infrastructure and entrepreneurship, in order to increase the common welfare. A similar transition is taking place in trade with China, Iran, and Turkey. India indicated that it is also ready to switch to payments in domestic currencies, and much effort has been put into developing clearing mechanisms for domestic currency payments. In parallel, there is an ongoing effort to develop a non-bank digital payment system, which would be linked to gold and other exchange-traded commodities to create stable currencies. 3 phases. First, in the first phase of the transition, these countries resort to the use of their national currencies and clearing mechanisms backed by bilateral currency exchange. At this point, price formation is still mainly driven by prices in various exchanges denominated in dollars. This phase is almost over. After Russia's reserve in dollars, euros, pounds, and yen were frozen, it is unlikely that any sovereign country will continue to accumulate reserves in these currencies. Their immediate replacement is national currencies and gold. Second, the second stage of the transition will involve new pricing mechanisms that do not take the dollar as a reference. Pricing in national currencies involves substantial overheads but will remain more attractive than pricing in unpatched currencies such as dollars, pounds, euros, and yen. The only remaining global currency candidate, the yuan, will not take its place due to its inconvertibility and restricted external access to Chinese capital markets. To use the gold as a reference price is limited by the inconvenience of its use for payments. Third, the third and final stage in the transition of the new economic order will involve the creation of a new digital payment currency founded through an international agreement based on the principles of transparency, fairness, goodwill, and efficiency. Such currency can be issued by a pool of foreign exchange reserves or the BRICS countries, which all interested countries will be able to join. The weight of each country in the basket could be proportional to the GDP of each country, based on purchasing power parity, its share in international trade, as well as the population and the size of the territory of the participating countries. New currency. In addition, the basket could contain a price index of the main exchange-traded commodities, gold and other precious metals, key industrial metals, hydrocarbons, grains, sugar, as well as water and other natural resources. To provide backing and make the currency more resilient, reserves of relevant international resources can be created in due course. This new currency would be used exclusively for cross-border payments and would be issued by participating countries based on the predefined formula. Instead, participating countries would use their national currencies for credit creation to finance domestic investments and industry, as well as for sovereign wealth reserves. Cross-border capital account flows would continue to be governed by national currency rules. The transition to the new world economic order is likely to be accompanied by a systematic refusal to honor obligations in dollars, euros, pounds, and yen. In any case, participation in the new economic system will not be conditioned by the obligations of the old one. Southern countries can be full participants in the new system regardless of their accumulated debt in dollars, euros, pounds, and yen. Even if they were to default on their obligations in those currencies, this wouldn't affect their credit rating in the new financial system. Nationalization of the extractive industry, likewise, would not cause a disruption. Moreover, if these countries were to set aside a portion of their natural resources to support the new economic system, they would increase their respective weight in the currency basket of the new currency unit accordingly, endowing that nation with greater foreign exchange reserves and credit worthiness. The big question: will the Ukraine war break the dollar's grip on world trade? By Tim Fernhold. The Ukraine crisis and the economic war that followed reopened the question of whether the dollar's commercial dominance would be coming to an end. That moment has been predicted for decades, with the euro and the yuan presented as possible successors to the dollar. The traditional argument has been that as these rival economies outgrow the great power, their financial gravity will lead them gradually usurp the role of the US financial system. But that hasn't happened since the euro came into use in 1999, and China joined the world trading system in 2001. According to Zoltan Pozsar, bond market strategist at Credit Suisse, in a world of increasing trade and supply chain challenges, where commodity prices are rising against the backdrop of high inflation, major exporters will be able to demand payment in their own national currency. For example, he notes that Russia is seeking payment in rubles for his exports, and Saudi Arabia is rumored to be considering allowing China to pay for oil in yuan. As countries focus on obtaining reserves of key commodities, demand for dollars and dollar debt would fall, and the offshore yuan would begin to dominate world trade. The dollar's dominance wouldn't last forever. The dollar's extraordinary dominance as trading currency is likely to disappear over time in the second half of the 21st century. The question is, which currency would be the dollar's replacement, or which of the multiple trading currencies would operate in parallel? Investors have expectations of a reserve currency, stability, safety, value, and liquidity. Until another currency can offer all four, it is hard to see the dollar being supplanted, rather backed in gold. End of cycle. According to Steve Biko, the central banking economy is over, while the QFS and the new people's economy form the economic base. Free energy and a whole range of inventions would be ready for implementation. A healthy and prosperous future lies ahead. Half of the population must be awake before the final blow can be successfully struck openly, although a battle is already won. The sleeping must first see their enemies before they believe who they are. High frequencies break the veils of secrecy. Planet Earth has moved up an octave in the galactic spiral, and this is changing her frequency. These frequencies will break the veils and release consciousness. A new era has dawned, as the sleepers awaken through through a higher resonance with papas. Nothing will ever be the same again. Earthly souls who have not yet completed their learning process, moving to a higher frequency, will have to go to other schools, other planets in the third dimension. The point of mutation is the beginning of the return home. Then the consciousness will have reached the 5D frequency level, and liberation from the awakened will have finally arrived. We are approaching the photolight belt that will require our frequency to be high enough to survive. Those who are still in 3D resonance will have a hard time. There are plans for these souls to move to another 3D planet. Many people still live in a current 3D reality, which is not real. In fact, the current reality is a consciousness trap. Who and what we really are is hidden from us. Our spiritual nature is our only true form, and that is the power of secret societies to make us forget it, by keeping us trapped in their illusion. If people cannot see the past, they are trapped because it is an illusion that is not real. It has nothing to do with reality or truth. It is nothing but a manipulated lie. Only when consciousness has awakened does it become a fact, and then the Great Awakening has begun. The Federation. The Strategic Alliance, under the popular name of Galactic Federation, maintained contact with selected members of the elite and began to infiltrate secret societies. The Federation's propaganda reached as a humanist group, but some suspect its mission may be to derail the spiritual awakening of humankind and lead them into the manipulated New Age movement of mind-controlled belief systems that make them fit for oppression. According to Steve Biko, this movement would include alignments with a variety of supposed ascended masters, and would be dominated primarily by Luciferian groups supposedly associated with the Federation. This is not my opinion, but I am suspicious and distrustful. However, I believe that about the Federation would be the authority of a humanist confederation lobbying on our behalf. These regressive groups were responsible for sending scalar weapons into the planetary field. It is to say, for example, the 11th stockade at Stonehenge, to erase the collective memories of humankind and remove any trace of previously recorded historical events, such as those related to Atlantis and Lemuria, and how the Luciferian Pact caused these tragic events that led to the catastrophe of Atlantis. Papal hierarchy. According to Steve Biko, there would be no one more powerful than the Grey Pope. Most of the leaders of the Papal lineage families live in Asia and India. Neither of the Black Pope nor the White Pope belongs to the Papal lineage because they are ordinary citizens. But to the outside world, it is suggested that the Black Pope would be the commander-in-chief of the world. In reality, after the Grey Pope, he is the most powerful man on earth and rules over the laws of the sea for business and people. The Grey Pope is a member of Arcana Arcanorum, controlled by the Papal lineages within the Maori. These lineages are the Omega control point. The Arcana Arcanorum is an esoteric system hidden from prying eyes, formed by Freemasons, Rosicrucians, Martinists, mystics, and scholars generally consent with the laws of God and the universe. The Holy Grail of royal blood has everything to do with the blood of Jesus and with the truth about who is descended from whom. True prophets transform negativity into positive energies. False prophets do the opposite. Their rituals would create energy fields, vibrational frequencies, like smartphones and smart meters, that would link the consciousness of the users to the negative alien agenda of reptilian archons called fourth-dimensional parasites, who would all belong to the same group. The archons located on Saturn would be transmitting artificial intelligence containing belief systems to distribute the negative distortions on planet Earth. Trap. The true prophets of our world, such as Jesus, Buddha, and others, discovered the truth and broke the illusion known as the consciousness trap. They tried to convey a simple message, which but immediately became very distorted and was supplemented with gibberish and Byzantine theological nonsense. It was the explanation on how the energy points of the chakras would be unblocked through regular positive and healthy living patterns, clean thoughts and clean food, in combination with meditation and prayer, that would ultimately lead to complete self-control. The light body contains our etheric organism in its perfect superconscious form, which allows for international communication and teleportation to other realities and dimensional spaces. It is known that most of humankind has not been able to stimulate a higher frequency to connect to the fourth DNA strand during adolescence and adulthood. Over time, they distorted genetic patterns and accumulated toxic air miasmatic compounds associated with the spread of disease, as well as emotional and physical imbalances, which are unnatural. If people cannot stimulate their heart rhythm and access the fourth genetic strand, they cannot activate their own identity. Therefore, they do not know why they incarnated on Earth, what their higher purpose is, and they cannot connect with or listen to their higher self because they have not developed their higher sensory faculties. In essence, this is similar to the trauma of having our wings clipped from our light body. This is connected to the curse of Yahweh, seated on Saturn and part of the negative group known as the Archon families. Self-discovery. The discovery of who we really are can only be perceived and achieved through the full realization and awakening of the true Great Awakening. All wars throughout the centuries have been negative wars initiated by greed, power and jealousy, mainly to increase wealth, power and control over others. They are waged, among other things, by controlling the food supply. Humankind doesn't need wars once negative forces are transformed into positive energies, because we can all live together in harmony. We have to become aware of ourselves, although many may try to continue with our life of the past. This is no longer possible. It is necessary to prepare for the coming challenges. It is time for all citizens to understand how and why they have been subjugated. Now, after 500,000 years, is our only chance to regain our freedom and planet Earth. If humankind cannot see the past, they are trapped because it is an illusion that it's not real. It has nothing to do with reality or truth. It is nothing but a manipulated lie. Everything becomes a fact when consciousness has awakened, and then the Great Awakening begins. This message was transmitted from the Pleiadian Archangel Michael Thorhan on the New Earth. You are privileged to see what is happening now. Borajine. In the midst of the maelstrom by Steve Biko, the Coalition and the Galactic Federations, there is more than one, are allowing the Dark Ones to appear to succeed so that the population can see the danger they are in. Real pain and suffering are the result. As far as I know, this chaos will end once they believe that the world's population will welcome them as liberators rather than dictators, when they are sure that the cyber war will not ensue. Before that, the world will be locked down so that the coalition can have their hands free to arrest the remaining swamp. And once the coalition shuts down the theater, the pain and suffering will not end there. The revelations during the 10 days of public broadcasts are going to shock a lot of people. Invoking universal laws to bring world peace is also something we can do, individually or collectively. We can set our intention each morning that peace will reign within a flow to peace without. We can send love as a group to hot spots around the world. We can build social capital by taking note of, caring about and helping our neighbors to strengthen the social bond and start a trend in the opposite direction of the clique, in the direction of compassion, peace and love. And we can recognize the peace that is always there. It is already there, but it is only covered by our mental chatter and our emotional clouds. It's just waiting for us to recognize it so that it will blossom. That peace is stable and strong and able to sustain us in the midst of the maelstrom. And that's all for today. Thanks a lot, dear friends.